If you are at all familiar with the products we produce at Little Crab Educational Press, or are familiar with our show, Fluentish the Podcast, you're likely aware that our first love is helping and inspiring people to learn an additional language. But we are also super passionate about children's literacy and finding creative, fun, accessible ways for you to help them in that pursuit. With that in mind, here's another set of activities for you. Particularly if you have a book with busy pictures, it's very easy to turn the illustrations into a search and find game. This works great with little kids as well as their older siblings. Rebecca and I are just under 2 years apart, and one of our favorite memories is of the times when our dad would do our bedtime story. It never got boring. When he would finish reading a high-content illustration page, he would pause and go, "Do you see?" letting his voice trail off into a giggle-inducing vocal fry. It worked so well for us because he could name which child he was giving a turn to and adjust the level of difficulty and additional skills involved accordingly. For me, the younger sister, maybe he would incorporate color identification like a pig wearing a red jacket. And for Rebecca, he could make the game more complex, like asking her to identify a task being performed. Even books that weren't written to be especially hilarious or educational can become part of an experience that forms a core memory for your kids. Bilingual bonus, make it a bilingual activity by using target language to identify items. How about an option that can also punch up the fun for the adult who may have read a specific book enough times to memorize it? Anyone? Anyone? Just me? This works great with younger kids who have heard a certain story many times or an older child who's already learning to read for themselves. The idea is for the child to be lulled into the sweet relaxation of having a story read to them, only to be jerked into laughter at the delight of having to correct the adult reading to them. For younger kids, pick a keyword or character name that they would know to make it more an obvious mistake for them to correct. Or for older children, you can choose more subtle words or phrases, such as adverbs or similes, like "she tiptoed into the room thunderingly." Bonus points, if there were points, to the child who can physically point out the word or words on the page that you got wrong and prove it to you. And bonus points to the grown-up who feigns being flabbergasted that they made a mistake and get the kids laughing even harder. Bilingual bonus, make it a bilingual activity by swapping out native language vocabulary with the target language your kids are learning. Before you read a story, you can assess as a pair or group how many characters the book has and assign voices to them. Take a look at the illustrations or read any character descriptions you can find, and then ask, do you think this character would sound old or young? Would they speak fast or slow? Would they have a higher voice, lower, clear, muffled, smooth, scratchy or gravelly, and so on? If one or more of the children is old enough to read, they can perform a certain character's voice when their dialogue comes up. Bilingual bonus, make this a bilingual activity by swapping out native language vocabulary with the target language your kids are learning when you are asking the questions and choosing the ways to describe the characters. Rebecca and I had the privilege of growing up with 2 school teachers for parents, and this meant our bedtime stories were made to be so much more than just a book and lights out. This was the 1980s. Our mom used to take blank old school computer punch cards and make word cards for us when we read together before bed. With the cards and those stinky, squeaky metal barreled markers that teachers used back then, she'd ask us each which word from the story we wanted written down and transcribe it onto our own card in her perfect primary school teacher printing. It felt special to be asked by an important grown-up about the words we wanted to know how to spell or just wanted to see written down. You can do this with your child. Ask them what were some words they recall from the story generally, or ask what their favorite word or words from the story were. See if they can tell you what letter it starts with, and then write it down so they can see the word that was in their memory, make it out of their head and onto paper. It's a low-tech way to give your kids a sense of ownership over a collection of words, creating a deep personal connection to reading. Bilingual books are a great tool for spending more time engaging with text, and there are some really high-quality options out there. For example, our storybooks utilize our exclusive text scaffolding system, allowing parents and caregivers to explore Mandarin Chinese characters, Pinyin, and English simultaneously by showing both languages and the pronunciation on the same page stacked together in relevant groups. That said, we all know not all storybooks are created equal, and not all the stories our kids love come in the form of a bilingual book. Maybe your child chooses non-target language monolingual books, or you are struggling to enjoy their choices. For monolingual books you would not choose for your child, here's how to make them bi- or multilingual. Pique their curiosity by translating some or all of the book so they can hear what the story sounds like in a different language. Have them choose a word or lines of text to be read in the additional language first, then have them guess what it means by using the illustrations for context. Once they engage in a second language, you can, of course, challenge them to translate some or all of the text for you. The old way of teaching reading comprehension involved asking primarily fact-based questions as opposed to prioritizing an actual understanding of the story. Enter the work of Adrienne Gear, a Canadian teacher who has written a preeminent series of books on teaching reading. Her research reveals that asking children intelligent questions during or after a story will help them to practice making valuable observations leading to better reading and critical thinking. Gear talks about 3 levels of understanding text. Level 1 is literal, where the child is retelling, summarizing, explaining text features, and determining the most important ideas in the text. Level 2 is interactive, involving connecting, visualizing, questioning, and inferring. Level 3 is integrated, which means synthesizing, transforming, and rethinking the text. Of course, teaching a kid how to learn is a huge topic, and this is just a cursory overview. But you can get started easily by grabbing our Story Extending Questions one sheet, available for free when you sign up through littlecrowdpress.ca. Happy reading! Like what you see? This was just a small sample. Click the link in the description to see everything we have to offer over at littlecrowdpress.ca, our home online for resources for teaching and learning languages made with joy.